So anyway, I get a phone call from Ramona, and she tells me all of the details of the shoot. And I was, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you guys want me to take my clothes off. And I didn't even really think about it for more than a second. I just said, like, absolutely, I'm in. That this is who I am. The true sort of test is, like, I have 2 weeks, right? From the point that we, like, set this date to today. And, like, there was, like, 1 or 2 moments, like, where, like, the thought came into my mind, like, you could maybe not eat as much, or like you could maybe take like 2 exercise classes every day. And like those thoughts like literally like came across my mind, and I like observed them and then like let them pass. And like I had Korean food for dinner last night, and I ate a lot of it. And this morning I woke up and I was like, well, I'm just gonna take my clothes off in front of the camera, and it's totally okay. Like this is where I am today, like in 2014.
It's amazing. Can you take your scarf off? And just,
yeah.
Each thing that you take off, you're just going to throw it on the top.
Okay.
Can you talk about what your style says about you?
I get a lot of feedback about this, baldness. So when I'm walking down the street in New York City, people say like, nice haircut. Like I've never had a haircut in my entire life because I've had alopecia since I was 18 months old. I wore a wig for 14 years. And I was very ashamed of my alopecia. Like I didn't want anyone to know it was a secret that I like created. And I wore like a really thick eyeliner, and I had bangs, right? So like no one would know that I didn't have eyelashes or eyebrows, but everyone knew. Like the kids at school knew that I wore a wig. They knew I didn't want to talk about it. People I think assume that I have cancer, which is weird. Like in my 20s, I'd be like smoking a cigarette, drinking whiskey at a bar, and people would come up to me and be like, I'm praying for you. And I'd be like, great, I need all the prayers I can get, like for whatever reason. People just don't know what this is. And then a lot of people also think that I've shaved my head. And I always struggle with that because I think like I'm not the kind of person that would shave her head. At the end of the day, I'm like a Jewish girl from Long Island. Like if I had hair, like it would be like long and like lustrous, like I wouldn't shave it off. The struggle is like really just about like self-acceptance. And when I was 4.5 or something, I started wearing a wig, and I wore a wig for 14 years. I'd put the wig on in the morning when I woke up, and I would take it off and put it on the wig stand, like on my nightstand when I went to bed. It was like a lot of like looking in the mirror and being like, I don't like this. This sucks. This is painful. Like if I had hair, everything would be better. If I had hair, I would have the boyfriend. I stopped wearing a wig when I was 18. And I remember it was like the most liberating thing. I tried to do this since I was 16. Like I had these friends in high school, and like we were on Long Island. It was like the mid-90s, and my friends were like, these boys, they were like, I'm gay. And I was like, I'm bald. And like I sort of for the first time was able to talk about it, and like took my wig off, and they were like, you look amazing, like don't ever wear that again. And when I went to school, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna start without a wig, I'm gonna have a fresh start. And I got there and I just freaked out. It was so scary. Like I didn't have my people anymore. And I remember feeling really angry at myself. And then I had this internship in New York in 1998, and I sort of like looked around and like scoped it out, and I was like, I'm working in the theater at that time, and I'm like, these people would accept me. Like there's like drag queens that work here. Like what's the big deal about a bald girl? And I just like went back to my parents' house on Long Island. I told my parents that I was gonna not wear a wig anymore. And they were kind of like, whoa. My mom was like not excited about it. I think that they were afraid for me. Before, I was always like almost like a disembodied head. Like it was all about here and like what was happening here, and like the rest was just like, and just letting go of that and like being free and like having this like being out in the world without hair just allowed me to just settle into me.
What's your favorite body part?
Like, I've been perpetually, like, for as long as I can remember, like, hoping to lose 10 pounds. I have the consciousness at this point to say, like, oh, like, you're not accepting yourself today. Like, why are you doing that? You're causing yourself pain. Like, you're fine as you are. Like, have, like, an entire bag of those amazing plantain chips that they sell at Fairway across from the office. I can really deprive myself because I feel like I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm. When do you feel the most vulnerable?
I am at my most vulnerable when I have to be really honest with someone or myself. The fear of hurting someone else's feelings or the fear of being rejected.
Yeah.
That's the most vulnerable, I think.
You could do both.
Okay.
And when do you feel the most beautiful?
I was upstate for July 4th. I was with like really good friends of mine. I felt like really beautiful. Like I felt like totally loved, and I felt like I was totally accepted for who I was, and I accepted these people for who they were, and I'm a part of something.
Can you respond to the quote, in your body is a good place to be?
I had a dream once that I was like walking down 2nd Avenue holding the hand of my 4-year-old self. We went swimming together, and I like lifted my like 4-year-old self like up in the air. But what I would tell her is like, you're beautiful, and like you're perfect as you are, and everything is okay, and everything is going to be okay. Like I know for a fact that I wouldn't be who I am if I had the long blonde, brown, whatever hair. Like I know. Like the depth would not be there. You are who you are today. It's like perfect.
So how do you feel having done this?
I feel great. I feel really comfortable. I feel proud of myself for where I've been and like where I've come to and where I'm going.
I truly believe that people like you are the future. Other people wanting to be inspired to be more themselves.
Yeah, everything else is kind of boring. It's just boring.